Well, prior to your appointment, the president had to deal with the major issue of coup. I mean, in neighboring Niger, and we saw, how decisive, as president of ECOWAS, how decisive ECOWAS tried to be with regards to what had happened in Niger, imposing sanctions, and also making very, very strong statements, hoping that they will be able to, reinstate President Bazoum. That hasn't happened. The military junta is still very much in power. So what precisely is the stance right now of Nigeria within ECOWAS, to what is still happening in Niger? Has stance moved? And, there's also the question of war, and Nigerian citizens were very vehement on the insistence that, Nigeria cannot afford to go to any war with neighboring Niger.
First of all, I think war in this context is a misnomer. Nobody talked about war. What the ECOWAS leaders said was that they are taking a firm position against what happened here, and they're considering all options, including military option. Yeah. It didn't mean that we're going from 0 to 200 kilometers per hour, just declaring war on Niger. We do not have a problem with Niger Republic. Nigerians and Nigerians are one and the same. We're the same people. We have the same history, the same culture, the same background, same heritage. So our problem is not with the citizens of Niger. Our problem is with the military junta, or should I even say the presidential guard that took a president hostage. And, clearly, each country, we did not design Niger's constitution for them. They chose their own constitution. They designed their constitution. And a group of nations came together and decided to create an organization called ECOWAS and, pledged to abide by their own constitutions and then the rules laid down by that organization. And they agreed that if one of them violates it, the others must take action against that violation. And that's simply what is going on. We just happen to be, President Tinubu happens to be leading ECOWAS at the time that this happened. And, clearly, if we allow, we see the outcome now. You see what is happening in Mali today. You have insurgents, you have terrorists outside of Timbuktu, about to take over Timbuktu if we're not careful. So why is this happening? Because the military are distracted, they're pointing their guns at each other. There have already been coups and counter-coups in these countries that the military has taken over. So attention is turned on themselves, on the military, grabbing for power at the capital instead of fighting terrorists in the Sahel. This is what is happening, and this is why we are very insistent that military regimes are passé.
Well, so we think that a similar thing can happen in Niger?
Absolutely. There's tension. That is why Nigeria is insistent. Look at what is happening in the northeast. Most of the troops are now focusing on what is happening at the center, in Niamey, not in Difa. So it is in our own national interest to ensure that democracy prevails in Niger. We've seen it. We've been through this in this country, where there's a military takeover, everybody applauds and says, "Oh, good riddance," and then down the line, a few months later, people are crying. So we have experienced it, and we know that it does not work. It is not sustainable. You cannot continue to hope and pray that some benevolent dictator will come and fix your country. And then even if you do have a benevolent dictator, what happens after him? What if he dies? Who is to say that the next person is going to be an equally performative, benevolent dictator? It does not work. What works is you go to polls, you elect your leaders. After 4 years, if they're not performing, you throw them out. And even if the system is not working the way you expect it, as we go along, there are improvements. Only 4 years. But this, for a dictator, you don't know how long he's going to be there, and then you don't know if the next guy is going to pick up a gun and take over. It doesn't work.